Well, usually the first issue that we have with contractors is when they do their bids and they have forgotten something. I mean, usually there's this process. Obviously, if you're competitively bidding out a project, you have to make sure that your documents are really thorough and you have your specifications. But the contractor's role is obviously to go through all the documents and try to come up with the best, the best price, especially if it's a competitive bid. And sometimes the first error that happens is that they've forgotten something, or they didn't ask enough questions, and so they're trying to guess at certain things. As I said, it's human nature to err. We don't, we do drawings with the computer, so the client has an expectation that everything's going to be absolutely accurate. But that's also a reason why a contractor might want to be involved in a project earlier than later, because that allows them to get really familiar with the project. So the nuances, the subtle things that are the field conditions, for example, all those things are actually fleshed out. So the contractor has a much more thorough knowledge of the project. And so it's in the interest of everyone that the contractor is as informed about the project as possible. And that's actually part of the success of a good contractor is good relationships with people. Being able to understand, what the psychology of what the architect wants. And it's not, I don't believe it's the role of the architect to try to nail people. We're not trying to make things be unreasonable. However, when a contractor is sloppy and is making decisions in the field without informing us of that process, that becomes a problem. I think, again, it's more about that we're not the enemy. We're actually been hired by the client actually to represent them, and that our vision is why we're being hired, and we're actually the design experts on this job. And so I think that when egos get in the way, I mean, obviously we know what we're doing, and the biggest conflicts I've had with contractors are when a contractor is trying to supersede our expertise because they think they've convinced the client, or they've spoken to the client and said, oh, do it this way. Like I, for example, have had contractors try to convince a client that something was misaligned and so they should just chop off the corner of their cabinet, which of course is just like not acceptable. So those kind of things, for example, that would be not a good relationship, obviously. And I think most importantly is that there is good communication.